trust fiscal year-end duties. Yeah, we're really close. We're close to the end of that year. And, as a trustee, let's go over some of the things that we need to do. This is the foundation. I am Sot L, Seeker of Truth L. Seeker of Truth L. I trust you're having a luxurious day. And you are enjoying your week. I have a very, 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 very short episode for y'all. I'm going to take up too much of your time. I know I say that all the time, but I mean it this time. I promise. I mean it this time. So we got year-end duties. Let's talk about some of the things we got to, get out the way. I like to discuss this topic ad nauseum simply because, I feel as though this topic should be very casually brought up on a day-to-day basis within, regular conversations between average Joes and Janes. That's how I feel about it. You tell me, though. But let's get into this show. Let's jump into it. As we do, make sure you check out welcome to thefoundation.com. At the minimum, please sign up for the email list, exclusive offers, events. We talk about things that we don't discuss on the show, things that I get into. I think the last thing I was talking about, usually talk about privacy, online privacy. It's not a bunch of spam as far as, buy this, buy that from the foundation. We looking to, give value in these, to all the subscribers, email subscribers, So, you do what you want. No rush, no pressure. But I will say, welcome to thefoundation.com. You can check out the entire page. We got PDFs, we got education, links right back to the YouTube page that you're watching as we speak. But if you look at this left pane right here, we have this key. If you click the key, currently, these are, the different tiers of foundation trustee training. Teaches you how to administer trust as well as create trusts. So, I think that's probably the biggest thing. But these are private trusts, contractual in nature. Currently, we're doing 50% off the one-time startup fee. So, but you got to email us. So you either email support at welcometothefoundation.com or you email admin at welcometothefoundation.com. We're still waiting on the next person to get what we got, the AirPods, the earbuds, the AirPods, Apple AirPods. Still waiting for someone to get those. So, it could be you. Any tier, silver, gold, or platinum. Must email us, though. You can't just sign up from the website. There's some special things we got to do. And honestly, we didn't, it's not a situation where we're doing it long enough to where we felt like we need to pay the web design guy to do another, blah, blahs. So this is exclusive through us. And it's only, honestly, if you're checking out the shows. I don't even think this is being put in the email blast. But I could be wrong. So, admin at welcometothefoundation.com, as well as support at welcometothefoundation.com to take advantage of this, this opportunity, If not, that's cool. We trust and respect everybody. Let's jump into this. Trust end of fiscal year. So, I like to use official sources or quasi-official, with the quotation marks, with the fingers, with the index in the middle on both hands, quotations. And, generally that's going to be U.S. Government sites, U.S. government IRS, websites, publications, or I use the .com, especially if it's attorneys, because attorneys, which I'm not an attorney, not a legal representative. I can't give legal advice, financial advice, trading advice, anything, marriage advice, astrological advice. I can't give any advice. So, but the attorneys, the bar attorneys, the lawyers, they got to be held to a certain standard with what they say and what they produce, types of materials and stuff, and that blah blah blahs. And most people are comfortable with that. So that's what I stick with. So this is Albertson and Davidson. I think it's a Cali spot. Trust trial lawyers. So this is, you definitely want to avoid trials with trust, especially if you have to contract lawyers. So this is the 5 biggest duties or trustee duties. I felt comfortable if we started off with this. Number 1, you have to follow the trust terms or the contract. That's paramount. There's requirements and restrictions with regards to trustees' duties, powers, and power of administration. That only exists in the trust indenture, in the actual contract itself. So you have to follow the terms, but you have to know the terms. You have to do what the contract says. Otherwise, you're in breach of the contract. And that's why I like to tell people, I feel like most people understand breach of contract. And in this scenario, breach of a trustee duty with regards to the trust terms, what a trustee is to do or not to do, is also, I would say, it's a breach of fiduciary responsibility, fiduciary duty, as well as it's a breach of contract. So it's very important. Some would say incumbent upon you to, follow the terms of, the contract. I'm not going to read this. Duty of loyalty. And this is self-dealing. This can translate to self-dealing. A trustee must be loyal to the beneficiaries as well as the trust. So you got to treat the beneficiary fairly according to the trust terms, but also you have to treat the trust fairly. You can't self-deal. You can't be doing business for the trust, looking for, let's say there is a resolution of the Board of Trustees that a specific trustee is to locate a vehicle that the trust is going to purchase. And, you can't go to the dealership or to a private seller and offer the contract on behalf of the trust and say, yeah, I'm dealing with the trust and so on and so forth. And, the trust, does this, and we're looking to acquire an automobile or, a van or whatever, so that we can, better do the business of the trust. And they're like, oh, you work with a trust? Oh, my dad used to deal with trust, and I'm pretty fine. I miss my dad or whatever. So, I'm going to give you a discount. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. You get a discount. But not only have you approached this situation as a trustee and acting on behalf of the trust, but also the mention of the trust, the mention of doing business on behalf of the trust struck a nerve with the seller, and they offered a discount. Now, let's say you turn around and from that position, you make a certain decision. Which is ultimately to grab the car for yourself, the automobile for yourself, and not on behalf of the trust. So whether you pay for it with your own fiat or not, you're self-dealing. And that's disloyal. You can't, convert a benefit that's go into the trust to yourself because you see some way that you can benefit, especially if you weren't already in the market for a car or an automobile or anything like this. Moving forward, report information in accounting. You must report it. To whom? I don't know. That depends on the jurisdiction, territorial, in personam. You know what I'm saying, with regards to the trust. Generally, with private trust, there's no reporting to the state, and only certain trusts with certain activities fall under the reporting requirement of the federal. But that's to my understanding. I'm not a tax attorney. I don't know, man. I could be crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? I could be sitting here right now in my Simpsons underwear with a harmonica, waiting to jam out as soon as I'm done recording this. Don't listen to me, but these are my comprehensions. But ultimately, if there is a specific secretary or specific trustee that's appointed to handle the accounting, as that trustee is going to have to, at the minimum, provide a reporting to the board of trustees, which is good. It's good, I would say. Wonderful to have records of that stuff formulated. And I always tell clients it's a thing. Trustees in training, it's a thing. It's less keeping good records and substantive records is less for the off chance that there is some sort of audit or anything for the IRS. It's less about that, and it's more about leaving a cogent trail that the successor trustees can easily pick up if they were to study the trustees and how they moved prior generations. It's more historical versus, in my opinion, and this is just me, it's trust records for me are more for historical records privately than for some defense publicly. So there's going to be some sort of reporting and accounting that's going to be due at least every year. But depending on the board of trustees, what's going on, it could be multiple times a year. It could be, once a month. You got to understand, and that's the first one. You have to understand the terms of the contract. We'll move on. Make required trust distributions. This is important. I'm going to lay a whole bunch of innuendo right here. Innuendo. There's a ridiculous amounts of insinuation right here, because simply complex trust, irrevocable, complex trust, contractual. So contractual, irrevocable, complex trust can disperse or distribute 100% of its taxable liability or taxable income to its beneficiary. I mean, insinuations are insinuated. There's mad insinuations when the trust requires assets to be distributed, and that would be, I don't know, I can't remember, what is that, a simple trust or a grantor trust? I think one of those, the assets must be distributed. There's a lot more leeway with regards to trustees of an irrevocable complex trust. But it's mad innuendo right here, especially when you're dealing with trusts. Trust, the distribution, trust. Distribution, trust. Distribution to distribution to innuendo, duty to invest prudently. Listen. if you know what you're doing, then do it. But you can't just burn up the funds. And I would say this is one of the reasons why most people fail at their own business. As quiet as it's kept. No disrespect, but you burn the funds up. Most people cannot separate how they handle finances versus how they handle how they handle finances personally versus how they handle finances on behalf of an entity, whether it's an LLC, a trust, it doesn't matter. Partnership, doesn't matter. There are very few people that are trained or have trained themselves to separate. So most people, the things that they would do, the things that they would invest in personally, Bitcoin, all types of stuff. And I'm not saying Bitcoin is nope, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it'd be personal and not necessarily self-dealing. And not necessarily something that could be detrimental as far as like from an IRS perspective or, a court's perspective, of course, but because, you can't go to jail for losing money unless the money you lost, you stole, but there's really no charge against you losing all your money, whether on the train or at the table, at the roulette wheel, who knows? But I'm pretty sure there's not a law against you losing all your money. But there's definitely could be some consequences with regards to losing all the money of a structure that you administer. LLC, specifically a trust. Because if it could be said that you didn't act in your fiduciary capacity and do proper due diligence prior to this investment, it could be your personal responsibility to pay back what was lost, what you lost on behalf of the trust or structure with interest. And most people cannot operate freely with the structure that they're executively in control of. I mean, executive level control, whether they're a trustee of a private trust or they're a CEO of their LLC or corporation. It's very rare. So what I would say about investments, right? Invest prudently. And I would, look up the term prudent, in the dictionary and understand what that really means. And then, comprehend that as long as you comprehend that it's not your money, it's not yours. You are not the trust and the trust is not you. What the trust owns, you do not own. You have no right to it outside of your trusteeship, which means you must maintain fiduciary responsibility and maintain your trustee duties. And as soon as you step outside of that, self-dealing, commingling, you're in breach of your trustee fiduciary responsibility. That's very, and I'll tell people it's like, okay, so go to work, right? Okay, I'm at work. You're at work? Okay, you're at work. You're at a job, right? I'm at a job. You're working, right, man? Listen. Okay, so look at that office chair in that office. Yeah, I see it. What color is it? It's brown. Is it real leather? It's real leather. Real leather, huh? You can smell the leather when you walk in the office. You like that? I love it. Take that home. What you mean? Go in there, grab it, take it home. Well, okay, wait until you punch out. Punch out, grab the chair, and take it home. I don't want to get fired. Same thing with the trust, yo. Same thing. 100%. Because outside of the job, you have no right to touch that. And even within the job, you don't have any right to move that chair. You don't have no authority to take it personally. Same with petty cash. People can't have access to corporate petty cash. Why? Because most people can't keep their hands to themselves. Most people start to think about what they need, what their family need, or what their daughter need and stuff. They apply personal perspectives and principles to a public business or even a private business structure. Ouch face. So understanding duty and understanding prudence is very important for a trustee, even if you're not a trustee. If you're, trying to run the family business and it's a corporation, doesn't matter. Like you need to understand these things. What if your trustee is not fulfilling the duties? Well, you can hire this firm, I'm sure. Let's move on. I got this other one. What is this? Morris County Chamber of Commerce. Trustee duties annual checklist. So this is some county stuff, right? And of course, private trusts properly structured do not come under county jurisdiction or state jurisdiction or city jurisdiction with regards to taxation. Blah, blah. But what we got here? You got to make the meeting. You got to read the trust agreement. See, look, reading and understanding the contract. You see, we got a little, it's a trend. Meet with each beneficiary. You can do that over the phone. Review the trust assets. That's a good one. There should have been growth. There should be accountable. No, what's the word I'm looking for? Obvious growth. How about that? Identifiable. How about that? Identifiable growth. Even if it's $4 in value. Loss is unacceptable. Off with your threads. Off with the trustee threads. Evaluate the trust advisors. If you have any, you should have a, minimum. Some people, most trusts, whether it's a business attorney that is being, consulted. There might be a tax attorney being consulted. Maybe CPA preparation. These I would, hey, these are all contractors and advisors. If you may have a financial advisor. And, when you get up there, there's, trust brokerage accounts. And depending on the graduated asset class of the trust, that may be highly appropriate. And of course, if you operate that way, you always want to have, advisors in that area as well. Really just investment advisors and, trust advisors, of course, the foundation. Consider income tax planning. That's crazy with the innuendos, the insinuation with the distributions. That's crazy, huh? But you got to consider income tax planning. But crazy about that. Ooh, that's crazy. The trust may be in higher income tax bracket than its beneficiaries. Is there an opportunity in the first 65 days of the year to distribute income to the trust beneficiaries? Ooh. And people be like, yo, but that's just, how does that make sense? Why would I want to do that? Well, trust can be, well, how about this? Did you know a contractual private trust can be the beneficiary of a trust? Did you know? Have you ever understood what effectively connected with a trade or business within the United States means? Okay. So if you understand that, right? Effectively, okay, so if I have a business trust, so if I have a business trust, right, and it holds membership interest in the LLC, so if it receives that income, the business trust receives income from an LLC, that is effectively connected with a trade or business within the United States. But if the business trust distributes any of its taxable income, the receiver of that distribution from the business trust is not receiving income that is effectively connected with a trade or business within the United States because the business trust is private. Oh, I feel like did I say that out loud? Let me quit being corny, but man, What else can I say? Trajan Wealth. We got another one. Review and update your trust document. Review it. You got to read it. You got to understand it. People think, oh, I got the trust, so I'm good. No, listen. I agree, and it's maximum of law. Spoken word flies out the window, but the written word remains forever. But if you don't have the written word, if you don't have it, the written word, which is the trust indenture, and then there are written words served on you. You follow what I'm saying? Review the trust indenture. Complete annual record keeping duties, any payments made on behalf of beneficiaries and receipts. You know, some trust indentures, you know, the good ones, have, you know, contractual requirements of certain things that are supposed to be paid by the trust. It's an expense to the trust on behalf of the beneficiary. It's contractual in nature. No state can pass any law impairing the obligation of contract. Net income paid to the benefit. Oh, I read that. Sorry. Payments made to third-party payees. 1099. That's 1099. Sounds like to me. Beneficiary distributions will be a K1. I don't know. I'm crazy though. Don't listen to me. Superman on my draws. Review the past year's tax records, if any. Make tax payments due before December 31st, if necessary. Make interest payments due before December 31st, if necessary. Any other payments due, determine capital gains, if necessary, and estimate taxes due, if necessary. Review ownership of assets. Make sure everything's in line. Everything that the trust owns is in line. Make sure the documents line up. Just do a review. Each year to be less and less because you know exactly where the documents are. You'll get faster at reviewing them. Review and update beneficiary information if necessary. Were there any new births in the family? New life witness in the family? Birth, man. It just sounds commercial. Review any disability documents, life insurance contracts. I got it. Man, that's a good one. That's a good one. See, I'm glad I did this show. I'm very happy I did this because I need to review that. Got another one, and I'm out of here, y'all. Year-end planning checklist for trusts. What is this? Wealth management, rbcwealthmanagement.com. Got the little, it's cute, man. Got the little tyke with the little tie, little tykers. Make interest payments. Strategize for attribution rules. You should look into that if, you know, necessary. You probably should. And then, you know, deal with them if necessary. You can avoid attribution rules by loaning funds to a properly structured trust. What? Yeah, because loan is an income to the one receiving the loan. There's no income, so there's no income tax on a loan. I'm crazy. Don't believe me. Better research, man. Better holler at a tax. Hey. But yeah, man. And it, you know, it's an expense. If the investment income is paid or made payable. Wait. Is this Canada? They said a Canadian resident. I don't know. Let me keep reading. Keep your records up to date. I think this might be a Canadian firm. I mean, it doesn't matter, really. Yep, province. This is Canadian. My bad, y'all. Hey, for my Canadian people, hey, I did this on purpose. I'm just looking out for y'all. You know what I'm saying? So the attribution rules, check them out. Capital gains, that applies to both jurisdictions. Keep your records up to date, that applies to both jurisdictions. Keep a copy of the original signed trust contract. Yep. Determine whether the trust has to pay taxes, so on and so forth. That's the year-end joint. There are extensions, just like individuals, corporations. A trust can file for extensions if necessary. You know, and I can't really think of anything else. Just remember, read your trust indenture. Remember, as a trustee, you're acting as agent on behalf of the principal. Agent is the trustee, principal is the trust. So, hey, man, you know, you ever had anyone say, hey, I'm just doing my job? Now you know why. Principal versus agent. But hopefully this helps out a little bit. And not like, oh, now I know what to do. Yeah, I hope it helps people with that as well. But mostly I hope this helps people understand that this trustee administration is really not complicated. Some of the jurisdictional aspects can be complicated at times, but just the trust administration itself is not complicated. I like to tell people anything that will get you written up or fired from a job will get the same thing with a trust, because the trust is not you. The trust is the company, and there's people who work for the company at the job who have a higher position than you. And if you're not doing what's best for the company, you will be, getting little on the horizon, they'll make you slide. But these things are, important to know. And it's important to, in my opinion, get more familiar, because regardless if you understand, you deal in trust, you're a trustee. If you're a mother, if you're a father, if you're a brother, if you're a sister, if you're an uncle, aunties, cousin, nephew, niece, doesn't matter. You operate in trust relationships every single day. You just don't label them that. Your family, your last name is a trust. Your genes are a trust. And if you look at it, even the expression of your genes with specific phenotypes, like, so and so looks like Uncle Ray, or she looks like Grandma. That is like a beneficiary distribution. How about that? But it's inheritance. It's you are the beneficiary of those physical traits and attributes of your family. Do you understand what I'm saying? Trust is all around you. You're doing it. But when you do it privately and you set your trust up in contracts and you administer them properly, you learn this and you teach it to your generation and you teach them, it becomes normal. It becomes absolutely normal. And it's not that difficult. And we're here to assist with that, if you so desire. So welcome to thefoundation.com. We're doing the half off for the signups if we're still doing it. Admin at welcome to thefoundation.com or support at welcome to thefoundation.com. We'll get you sorted. And, y'all be safe. Travel safe. Don't be, doing the intoxicationals. And then, trying to do the travels after the intoxicationals or during the intoxicationals. No travels. And if travels, make sure the travels are outside of your physical control. You know what I'm saying? Ubers or Lyft, there's all types of stuff. Be safe. Take care of yourself so you can enjoy your time with your families. So, perihelion, January 1st, y'all. But that's it. Y'all take care of yourself. Enjoy yourself. Make sure you say 10 things that you are thankful for before you go to sleep tonight and every night. It's very important. And I'll catch you tomorrow, the next day. I'm going to do current events. I don't know. Tomorrow, the next day. I love y'all. Peace, y'all.